Hey guys, Mr. TNA here with a brand new video this week. It was going to be coming to you yesterday. Unfortunately, I got straight in, was ready to record the video and fell asleep. I had a big exam yesterday, so I was not realizing I was very tired and just ready to record, and wham, I was asleep for several hours. So that's the reason I didn't make a video yesterday. I decided last week that I was probably going to do a video every Tuesday. Probably not going to keep to that schedule now, but you'll probably get a new video from me every week. So this is the video today. It's a topic that I was going to do later on in the series. I was probably going to do it as one of the very last videos, or at least I was going to do it at the beginning of February, and you'll realise why I was going to do it at the beginning of February in a few moments. But after recent announcements and decisions made by TNA, I have been motivated to decide, well, I may as well do it now, and then if it ever does in fact happen, I can take some sort of credit. That's just me scrounging for a little bit of attention, but never mind. So, if you're trying to guess, the announcement that has motivated me to do the video, and plus the title will always help you in guessing what the video is about. As of either Friday or Saturday, TNA announced that their show in London on the 28th of January is now a double edition Impact Wrestling taping. So they will be taping 2 episodes of Impact Wrestling. Wow, first of all, that is insane. I don't think I'm quite surprised not many people are, raving about this. Usually the members of the internet wrestling community are going, well, TNA is not expanding, they're losing money, blah blah blah, but since the announcement they all seem to have disappeared or shut up, which makes me laugh, because this is basically TNA going, we're in fine financial condition, so good a financial condition we can do a taping in a country that is halfway, well, either a quarter or half a way around the world, in front of, by the way, about 10,000 people, which is always a good thing for TNA because they get quite a lot of slacker drawing crowds. And now they're going to be doing 2 editions of their weekly television program in front of us. Hopefully will be sold out Wembley. It's not sold out yet, but hopefully in front of a sold out Wembley Arena audience. And then yesterday it was followed up by an announcement saying that the 2 other UK stops in the Maximum Impact Tour 2012 in Manchester and Nottingham will have cameras there recording footage for TNA, for Impact Wrestling and for Explosion, which hopefully will make the people that was complaining about Manchester it's mainly the Manchester fans that are going to the Manchester show complaining about not getting a TV taping. Now they're getting probably a couple of TV quality matches. From what I've gathered from spoilers, don't worry, I'm not going to spoil anybody. Usually I think the original plan was on this set of tapings before they went over to the UK. They were going to be taping 5 matches for Explosion, so 1 for every episode leading into Against All Odds. Now they've only taped 3, which gives me the reason to believe the other 2 matches that need to fill out 2 weeks of Explosion will be taped in Manchester and Nottingham, which also leaves me the reason to believe that one of those will be Samoa Joe versus Bobby Roode, which I would love to see an Explosion, because it would be, I think, since TNA got a TV deal and started producing Impact, I think ever in the history, I think it was the second time the World Championship has been defended on Explosion. Which for me will be absolutely brilliant, because Samoa Joe and Bobby Roode, in my opinion, will have a great match. I don't think it'll be on the London tapings. It might be. I don't think it will be. I think at Wembley we will probably end up seeing Bobby Roode facing Sting. I'm only saying that's not a spoiler because nothing's been announced. I'm only saying that because in the press release that came out about 2 hours ago, TNA said that this would be Sting's final wrestling appearance in the UK. Well, as a wrestler, anyway. It would be final appearance in the UK, and he would be wrestling at the London TV tapings, which gives me reason to believe that he'll be facing Bobby Roode, seeing the fact over the last few months they've had, you know, a bit of animosity between each other. So anyway, the video today, after this huge and amazing, and thank God it's happened, revelation that the UK will be getting television tapings and will be showing the world how great the crowds are over here, is about TNA in the UK. And it is about how they can expand the UK touring system. So let's get straight into it now then. We've talked about the Impact TV tapings. Currently right now, for the UK stops, there is London, Manchester and Nottingham. I do not think that will change. There's only 3 weeks left until they come over. I don't think they could really add a show in any place and sell thousands of tickets and actually make it a money-making house show, which it would probably be. So, as well as that, last year TNA went to Glasgow, Scotland, and I heard they did quite a good job of filling that arena, the Braehead Arena. They also went to Belfast in Northern Ireland, and they was in a small venue, but I heard they filled it with at least 2,000 people. So, from what I have seen, from photos, from videos, and from reports, in the last 2 years, every venue TNA has been to, they have done a very good job of filling the place up. Unfortunately, due to the fact that there's television tapings to be taken into account, paying talent for how many days in the UK, TNA can only do 3 events this year. I think that they would want to do more events in the UK every time they come over. I'm pretty sure they would, because the crowds now, with the addition of being on Challenge and the viewership numbers being, last week's were 200,000, well, not last week's episode, but the recent numbers for a viewership on the, I think it was the New Year's Impact, was 200,000 people. And that is a major increase of viewership since TNA came over back in 2011. So I think TV viewership will be showing TNA there's a lot of areas they could go to. It's unfortunate though, because in January not only do they go to the UK, they go to places like Germany, France, Belgium. I think they're going this year. I'm not sure. I've not checked properly. I've only paid attention to the big news of the UK tapings. So they go to other places in January. Now, the only way that they can tour the places that they want to tour and make quite a bit of money off in revenue and stuff is by touring the UK twice a year. Now, you may be saying that yes, it might be overindulging into the market and you might not get as good attendances, but I never said you have to go to the places you go to in January again in July. You know, right now it's been shown obvious that the fans that go to the Manchester shows are just as passionate as the fans that go to the London shows. So, right there and then, you've got an easy decision to make. You're getting 10,000 people in Wembley in January. I don't think you're going to change the time you go over into that arena because you don't want to lose any of the crowds. So, I would say to add another touring time in the UK in July. There's a 6-month gap between January and July. It works out fair, and I think that would be the best way to go, just with the simple 6-month gap between the shows. So I would make Manchester the top show of the July tour, for the reason that Manchester has been, it's been said Manchester has been very good to TNA over the last few years, and the fact is they would really want to treat the fans I think if they wanted to treat the fans, they could make them feel a bit more special by being the top show, the final show on the tour. And it might, in going over the July, it might increase attendance, which would be really cool. I think that if they could draw a big house in Manchester as well as London, all it's going to do is help. So, if you say in January your main show is in London and your main show in July is Manchester, then you've got to be looking at other places and the geographics of where certain areas are to play in certain tours. Because if you're not going to go to the exact same place in July as you did in January, you may as well see if you can go just a little bit nearer, so you could attract the crowd that went to that show, and also a crowd that didn't go to the show in January because it was a bit too far, and the location for this show in July is nearer to them. So, locations I would have in the January tour would be going to London as the final show, the main show on a Saturday, I think it would be held. Liverpool, big city, good place to tap into a market. If TV viewership supports going to Liverpool, then go for it. Sheffield, because of, once again, big city, close, not far away from Nottingham, and the Nottingham show that's coming up in a couple of weeks, as I think it sold over 5,000 tickets, so you could probably pull 5,000 at Sheffield as well. Where else? Possibly Birmingham. It wouldn't really matter what time you go to Birmingham, but you could say, as I'm looking at a map of the UK now, between Birmingham and Sheffield, like dead on in the middle, is Nottingham. So the fans that would find it too far to go to the Sheffield show could go to the Birmingham show. That's probably it. I would keep it geographically down in England for this tour, and then, as you'll see, where I will go in July, I would probably, maybe in January, just to add to that, maybe do a stop in Wales. I'm not sure, I can't really remember how they did in Wales in 2010, but TNA is now available in Wales on Challenge, so maybe they could have a bigger market in Wales now than they did back in 2010. And then the stops in the July tour, I would go to Belfast, well, a place in Ireland that's, doing well with TV viewership. I remember reading an interview a couple of weeks ago with someone saying that the fans in Belfast were some of the craziest fans I ever had. And this wasn't an interview with like an Irish or UK newspaper. This was just an interview, like asking a question, what's one of the craziest crowd you've ever been in front of, and I think the person said the Belfast crowd they had on the 2011 Maximum Impact Tour, because it was a closed environment and it was packed to the rafters, and it was an absolutely brilliant experience. The next place I would go in July would be Glasgow at the Braehead Arena. They did well there last year, so you may as well go there again. Then I would go to Nottingham. I would move the Nottingham date that's currently in January to July, just for the simple reason that if by doing that you can add 2 new markets to the January tour, and it's also in the north, so talent don't have to go from the very top of the island of Britain to the very bottom in a tour, when they can just keep it, only going halfway down. Manchester would be the big stop, would be the final stop. That would probably be on the Saturday, and depending on how TV viewership is in that area, probably try and tap into Newcastle. WWE have had a good market in Newcastle, so I don't see why not TNA try going to the Newcastle-Sunderland area. So, counting on my fingers here, for the January tour, as I said, London, Birmingham, Sheffield, Liverpool, and maybe a stop in Wales. 5 dates in the UK for the January tour, and then for the July tour, Belfast, Glasgow, Nottingham, Manchester, and Newcastle. That's another 5 stops. I did not realise that I had decided to make 5 stops in each on each tour. That was just coincidence. I can promise you that. I didn't realise. I literally just counted out on my hand. So there'll be 5 stops on each tour, which I think would give TNA a good opportunity to tap into these new markets in the UK, and also, not only are they doing that, one of the biggest money makers for TNA in a calendar year, in a financial year, as I say, is the UK tour, because they're getting 10,000 fans in London, 5,000, 6,000 fans in Manchester, 5,000, 6,000 fans in Nottingham. They're getting over 20,000 fans paying top money as well. It's not cheap to get a ticket. Paying good money to get into these shows, and when you're doing so successful in a market, and that's one of your biggest money makers, and you're only going once a year, you may as well try to go twice a year, to make more money that you could reinvest into the company, into several different things. So what would make going over twice a year not only a must-be-at experience for fans in the area of the stop, but also a big money maker? As we know now, the London stop is going to be a double Impact Wrestling television taping. The thing is, TNA in the future can really add to that, can really add to TV tapings when they come over to the UK. So I have named 5 places that they should they should go to on each tour, because I think it will make good money, and it will also, as I mentioned, places like Newcastle and Liverpool, they would be good markets to get into, because they seem to have a fairly solid wrestling fan base when it comes to the WWE, at least, when they come over to the UK. So what could TNA add to make even more money off of the UK? I know it might sound weird that they try to take money away, but a business is a business, and I don't think people are going to complain if they can get to see TNA twice a year instead of once. And plus, there's going to be a storyline, superstar, title holder difference, whatever, between January and July and January. So it's not going to be like you're seeing the same champions defending against the same people in the same matches. It's going to be different. After 6 months, it's going to be different. So, what could TNA add television-wise to make these stops, these 2 tours, and the stops in these certain places more financially beneficial to them? The first thing I would say is, I'm going to use the January tour as an example. The fact is, London is a place TNA draws between 8 and 11,000 people every year. And I am happy that it is getting a television taping. I think, though, they could, in the future, they could afford to tape in a different location and do something a little bit different at the London show. So here's what I'm thinking. You may, if you've listened to my video concerning TNA and AAA, I talked about adding Impact Wrestling Saturday night television specials, like a couple a year. Now the thing is, I think that London with the big crowd is such a huge event, regardless of whether they would have Against All Odds or a February pay-per-view. TNA should have a Saturday night special 3 weeks after Genesis. So 3 editions of Impact Wrestling, then a Saturday night special. Followed up by, on the Sunday of the tour. So I'll explain to you. If you don't know, there's a couple of hour time difference between the United States and the United Kingdom. I think it might be about 6 or 7 hours difference. I'm not sure, don't go on my word for that. Just have a look it up or something. There's a time difference. You know, when shows are airing for TNA at 9 o'clock in the United States, it's 2 o'clock in the morning. Well, it's 2 o'clock Friday morning in the United Kingdom. So there is a reasonable sized time difference. So I wouldn't change the day that the London taping is held. I would not change the day they go to London. Saturday has worked for TNA, and they should keep it Saturday because London is such an important and big market for them. They should not tamper with anything. So I think because of the enormity of the crowd, they could tape a 2, maybe 3 hour TV special to air on Saturday night in the United States. Now this would mean, as soon as they finish taping in the United Kingdom, the production team would have a couple of hours to edit the show and send it to Spike ready to air. So it wouldn't be live. It'd be a couple of hours after airing live. So it wouldn't be like there's been a long wait for it. There's only been a few hours and then it's aired. And I think that the London show and everything about it is so huge that it could do a Impact Wrestling Saturday night television special. And plus, if you're thinking that the focus would be taken off the pay-per-view, just think it is like this. The London taping is going to be for this year is going to be for the 2 final episodes of Impact Wrestling before Against All Odds. Now this means probably the first show is going to be all about the fact that they're in the UK, they're in front of a big crowd, and there's going to be big matches on the show. And then the show that they tape for 3 days before Against All Odds is going to be trying to hype up Against All Odds. Would you rather have TNA have 1 edition of Impact Wrestling to hype up all of their upcoming pay-per-view in a few days in front of a huge crowd in the UK, or would you rather have a Saturday night special and then 2 editions of Impact Wrestling hyping up the pay-per-view? Quite personally, I know which one I would prefer, and it is the latter option. It is the second option. So London, in my opinion, if I was running things, which of course I would love to, but I'm not, this, once again, is just about my ideas, would be to tape for an Impact Wrestling Saturday Night Special, which would air a couple of hours later in the United States. This would mean if you signed up for doing a Saturday Night Special, Spike would pay big money to do a Saturday Night Special that would probably be bigger ratings and would also be in front of a huge crowd. Probably a bigger crowd than they'll get on pay-per-view for the next, maybe another few years. I can't see into the future, but that's just my opinion. So I would have that as a Saturday Night Special taping. Now, I would run a show on the Sunday. That would be the final show, really. London would be the big show, but the final show would come the day after on the Sunday, which would be a Impact Wrestling TV taping 2 episodes that would lead out of the Impact Wrestling special that aired the previous night on the Saturday, and Against All Odds, which would be in 2 weeks on February whatever. So right there, you've now longer not got one TV taping, you've got 2, and one of the tapings would add more money because Spike would pay extra to get an extra episode of Impact Wrestling in front of a big crowd, and etc, etc. But what they could add even more is, on the Friday night, do a UK exclusive show. A live UK exclusive show from another area. So I've said Saturday night, London would be for an Impact Wrestling special that would go worldwide from Wembley Arena. Sunday, they could go maybe Sheffield, as I mentioned before. They could go maybe Liverpool, Sheffield, Wales, or Birmingham. So then one of the other big stops, depending on the size of the crowd, they could go on ticket sales. They could go on the Friday night to this place that they've scheduled and do a 3-hour UK exclusive show, like a free pay-per-view, depending on whether or not they would decide we'll go a little bit further. And they would have 2 options: either arrange a deal where Spike would pay them to do this Impact Wrestling special, well, this pay-per-view special for free on TV live on a Friday night, which would be great for the viewership in the UK. Or TNA could negotiate with Sky for it to be a special event on Sky box office. And the fact is, if they charged between £5 and £10 to see the show, they would make a lot of money off of it. And to say that regardless, it's either they make money off of signing a deal with Spike to do this show, or they get money straight from the viewer themselves, they would have a very big opportunity to make even more money. And then, of course, you would repeat that all over again in July. You could have a UK exclusive pay-per-view on a Friday night. If you wanted to, you could do a Impact Wrestling Saturday Night Special on the Saturday and then air a couple hours later, and then on the Sunday do a television taping. But that, depending, doesn't really matter if you do it or not, because if not, you could just have a double Impact Wrestling taping and a UK exclusive pay-per-view for free, if you will. So that's the idea. TNA touring the United Kingdom twice a year, doing on both tours, doing a UK exclusive show that they could sell off a couple months later on DVD or whatever, but that might not work now because of, pirating and it becoming available probably a couple of days later either on YouTube or downloading sites. doing, instead of having only one TV taping in the UK a year, they could have two, and then maybe even they could do one Impact Wrestling Saturday Night Special that would go worldwide, and then if they really thought they could get away with it between the July and August pay-per-views, they could do another one then and have two. So that's the idea. That's how TNA would be able to tap into more markets and make more money off of not only the ticket sales and the merchandise sales from the shows, but also from the idea, the money they would make from doing a Saturday night special for Spike to pay for either one or two of these Saturday night specials, and also two UK pay-per-views either for free by doing a deal with Challenge and getting more income off them, or doing them as actual pay-per-views and selling them for £5 or £10 and getting money straight from the viewer. Regardless, whichever will be financially good and whichever one would guarantee, the most profit would be brilliant. And quite honestly, I would love to see TNA in the UK twice a year. I would love to see, instead of 2 episodes a year, 4 episodes of Impact Wrestling taped in the United Kingdom in front of big crowds. I would love to see TNA do a Saturday night special from Wembley Arena, and then another one in July sometime. And I'd love to see 2 UK exclusive events, and either paying £5 or £10 for it, or being able to watch it on Challenge for free. The only time which they would be, those 2 shows, the UK exclusive shows, would be the only time UK viewers could watch Impact Wrestling live. It wouldn't be a taped show, it wouldn't be airing on any delays, it would be a live show, which I honestly would love to see. So that is the idea. If you like the idea, then feel free to like the video, subscribe to the YouTube channel, follow me on Twitter at Mr. TNA. If you really like the idea, forward this video to other members of TNA Wrestling, whether it be wrestlers, management, whatever, with Twitter, Facebook, anything, any piece of social media you can, if you want to. Thank you very much for listening. It's always brilliant to see the viewers number go up and up and up, and know that my voice and my opinions and my ideas are going out to more and more people each and every video. Thank you very much for listening. Hope you enjoyed the video. Have a very good day, have a very safe day, and you shall hear from me very soon. Thank you very much.